All right, people, it's March 27th, and this was the group of figs that I had in the storage room under the heat mat. So the heat mat's still there. I have it set at 80 degrees because it's going through the bottom of the mat. And here are all the varieties that I trimmed off from the fig tree at 100 South, and they're already starting to grow. And I looked at the bottom and there are some roots that are starting to come out. Here's another one being the fig pop. I am not a fig pop fan because everything that I've up potted has died, but you can see there's some roots that are starting in there, which is great. Gotta let it continue to grow. This is a Mary Lane, I think, Mary Lane fig. Very small stick. See if there are any roots. It's hard to tell when I have the rice holes in here if there are any roots. And I think in the future I am not going to have rice holes in there. I think I'm just going to do perlite and coco coir. But a lot of these have already leafed out. Look at that. Nice. I don't know what variety of fig this is, but it seems to have worked out. There's a little bit of mold there and rot, but that root is looking really nice. So I'll let it grow here. I decided to stick these outside this last week. All of these because I was getting some growth here on these, and in the dark area, they were looking very anemic, very yellowish white. And I brought them out here, and within a couple of days, they started to go green. And most of these, there's 4 varieties. These are the varieties that I purchased from Figaholics. And there are 3 varieties here that are still not leafing out. So I'm gonna keep this protective covering over them until they start to leaf out like this. And maybe next week, I'm gonna take them off the heat. We are getting constantly about 80 degrees a day here in St. George, and I leave them out here. This area does not get direct sun. So they do not get direct sun, but they do have some good northern exposure, but no direct sun. And I want them to acclimatize because the stuff that I had inside during the winter was not doing very good. I want to change to bottom watering for this, so I'm going to keep them in this tote. And for these fig pops, I'm going to cut little holes in the bottom and leave those in the water too, and see if that will keep them from dying. I'm not sure what's going on with those, but these are varieties that I got from my friend Mark, and he has a greenhouse, and he put them in his greenhouse, and he was just covering them with this bag and letting them grow. And some of these, they're only like a week and a half old, but you can see some mold is starting to grow on these varieties, but they're really leafing out, and there's not a lot of roots, but there are some roots. Like if I zoom in, roots down towards the bottom, if it would focus, there it goes. This is after a week of putting it in the soil. And I asked him, I'm like, dude, how do you have such a good green thumb? I don't. I guess it helps with the greenhouse. So I took them from him, and this one's already starting to die. And I'm opening them up to get them acclimatized to the dry air, which is probably why it's dying, but I'm keeping them lightly covered like this. These varieties, this is a Beers Black, little bit of growth going on there, but some rooting, only being in this for a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks. Here's this is the Petite Negra, which is really actually not that petite. Seems to be growing pretty good. All right, so those are the starts that I have there. I have another group in a bedroom that is constantly 75 to 85 degrees. I'm not keeping it on a heat mat, and I'm just hoping that they'll start to grow, but we'll see what happens. I'll show you those here in a second. But here we have these varieties. I decided to bring them out and leave them out here where they will get more light versus the light that is inside the house. It still looks pretty darn dark inside, but if I have them out here, I'm getting some really good growth that's starting here, and then I'm having some that are deciding to die back. It's not very nice. am watering them based off of weight. So if I'm picking this up and they feel really light, then I start to water around the edges. And I don't know if that's what's killing it, but I get some burnt edges here. So there is some direct sun that comes out here for maybe 15 minutes because the sun is setting and it hits this part of the house. But some of them are looking really nice and doing good. I think I might up pot them here this next week into a 5-gallon because I want them to grow. Here are some other varieties that I put in here. These do not get much of a direct sun. They maybe get 5 or 10 minutes. Some of them are really struggling. And I up potted them from a small container like this to the 4x4x9. And this one has started to take off. If it can focus. This one started to take off. Again, this one is just kind of holding on, not doing so hot. And these, I think, are just toast. But I'm keeping them here and watering them just in case because they are rooted. I mean, I lift on that and it is not going anywhere. They're really well rooted. So I'm hoping they're alive enough to start some growth from the bottom. That would be awesome. Same thing with this one. Even though it's toast on the top, when I lift it, oh, never mind. Something popped. That's good. That's always a good sign. So I guess I'm just going to throw that one away. This one's a possible Smith fig. Not quite sure, but I'm going to water them on Saturday. You can see it's dry here, but if I just go down an inch or so, it's a little moist. And I'm trying not to overwater these things because I think I'm killing them if I overwater them. But just going an inch down and they're starting to do good. I don't have issues with fungus gnats out here, which is why I moved most of them out here. So these are having no problems staying outside now for 4 days. We hit 90 degrees yesterday, and these were doing great. Same with all of my potted figs that are over here that are older. This is an LSU purple. It was rooted, I think, about a month ago, but it's doing pretty good. My Celeste is growing. All of them are growing out here. It's great. Even my starts for my Maduka grape vine is starting to grow. So new growth on all of these. Yes, so excited. My up potting of these. I trimmed my palm tree and got some of these scraps to put as just sun mulch over it so that the sun doesn't burn a lot of this, the trunk or the ground. And it seems to be doing just fine. All of these, no shock from up potting them from a 1 gallon to these, I think these are 5 gallon. So they're doing pretty good. All right, we're gonna go inside now. Here we have the others. I bottom watered this and it's dried out now. It's been almost a week since bottom watering, and the Birkin Unknown is doing good. But this one is starting to die off a little bit, and the Capra fig is giving up the ghost. So this whole tray area, I think, is just toast. I'll have to re-look at it a little bit later. A couple of these are growing. A couple of them have started to die this week. This I watered a little bit, and it's doing okay, but look at all these these gnats. Some of these are doing actually fine. This one's growing great, but I found the ones that I cut in half and make them really small, they tend to struggle. The ones that are longer tend to do better for me. These Pastelier Unknowns, they have been in here and dying if you've been following. They have a good root system, but this, you can see how moist it is down there. I'm trying to keep it moist, and when I do a scratch test, it's still alive. So I'm going to keep watering these until they bounce back. Hopefully they bounce back. This variety, that variety, that variety, that variety, and that one are all gonna go outside. The rest of them still need some time. Maybe up pot this one and maybe some of those, but they're just dying. And maybe it's because of the gnats. I'm gonna blame it on the gnats. Damn gnats. So these are mostly dead. Some of them are alive, and I'm gonna move them outside. So hopefully that'll work out. Now we're gonna go into the next section. All right, and here I want to keep these separate from the other figs because I don't want fig gnats in here. These are the newest ones that I planted in the pots a couple weeks ago, I think 2 weeks ago, and they're still relatively moist. in here. This one is starting to dry out a little bit, so I think I need to give this some water, but I know there's moisture at the bottom. Here, they're starting to grow, and they feel pretty solid inside there in terms of rooting. Yeah, when I lift up, they stay in there. But these ones are all wrapped with paraffin, except for these two. These are not wrapped because I was told, and it's an experiment, that if they're closed off like this, they don't need paraffin to be wrapped on it. These are also Bergen Unknown. Really want to try that variety. It's from Profig. Here are two other varieties that I got from my friend Mark. There's yellow long neck. And again, they're starting to leaf out, but after being a week in this humid environment and in nice warm temperatures, they're doing good. And this is the Cadota, but these feel very loosey-goosey, so they might not make it. But he had like a 90% success rate growing them in his greenhouse and having them start off with growing. And here I have like maybe a 50% growth rate. This guy looks like it's toast, but I'm sure if I did a scratch test, it would be okay. It does feel a little loose in there, so maybe it's not okay. This one feels more solid. That feels pretty good. The up-potted ones, I know they had roots on them, so I'm gonna hold on to them for as long as I can, maybe another month or so, and see if they make it. It looks pretty dry, but when I lift it, they feel pretty good. This is a black mission, a little bit of mold there, but overall, it's doing good. Look at all this root system that's starting to grow. Oh, the smell is so good. I love the smell of figs, but all of this, the roots that were starting to grow before it started to leaf out, very interesting. So gonna try to keep those relatively moist, and we're gonna try this out. So I'm gonna get a gnat catcher thing in here because I don't want gnats going around. I probably got them from my friend's greenhouse. All right, that's the summary, but in this room, it stays about 75, 80 degrees, and which is perfect environment, it's supposed to be. They don't really have much direct sun. Right now, it looks like there's direct sun on it, but this guy is keeping it mostly off. There's a couple of them that are getting direct sun. A little bit of sun never hurt any fig, right? Maybe a lot did. Maybe that's why they're all dying. But this is the first time I'm having them in any type of sunny conditions. I'm going to do the same thing with this one as I did with the other tote. These are the 4x4x9, and I'm gonna remove all the plastic probably this next week and bottom water. See if I can have more success with doing that. I'm gonna put in some natural to kill off gnats and put it in the bottom along with a little bit of fertilizer to help stimulate some of that growth. Very little fertilizer, almost like a breath of fertilizer, because I don't know if I'm killing these due to fertilizing or if I'm killing them due to overwater, but I don't think I'm overwatering them. Look at this. I mean, that's not a lot of, when I see this, it's hardly any moisture. It's slightly moist, but seeing this versus this, I mean, this is almost like sopping wet in there. But he said he did the same thing last year and all of his figs survived. So I don't know. Is it possible to overwater these things? But I keep having figs that are dying. So maybe I need to water them more often, do light spraying at the top. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna go and get my little spray gun and do light misting for all of these figs so that they have a little bit of moisture to deal with on the surface because it is so arid and dry in here. All right, that's the plan, Stan. I will give an update in a couple more weeks, and I'm gonna compile all of these videos into one to kind of show the progression, but also what I've learned throughout the process, if I've learned anything. So look out for the next video, maybe not the next video, but the video after, maybe, I don't know, to see how many survived, how many died, and what the take is. Maybe I'll go through and just pull out every single one and see if they are rootless and totally dead. All right, have a great day, and thank you for watching.